I remember I just collapsed on the floor. Like, my knees just gave out. I was just gone. And my friend saying, "Are you okay? Did you faint?" I could hear everything, but I could not stand up. And couldn't talk to the policeman. I left the living room where he was and walked upstairs and got in Jeff's bed. I don't know why I did that. I don't, but I did, and I stayed there for 2 days, basically.
And she said you paced a lot, and I think that's what I did for a day or two. I have no recollection, really, of it. There was no crying or anything like that. I was in just absolute shock, I guess, is the only way I could describe it. But I was restless, whereas Chris was more wanted to be in one place. I just couldn't find a place.
And I just felt like we went into the twilight zone. And you just feel like you don't get it. I kept questioning, are you sure? Are you sure? You're in shock, and you don't want to believe it.
That disbelief went to holding on to Debbie, because I just felt like, no, despite what I'm feeling, I have to hold on to her, because I was fearing for what her response would be. I didn't know what it would do.
Then the Thursday evening rolls around, and he doesn't come home. And you're starting to wonder then as to what has transpired. And that whole night I stayed awake. I could not sleep. I was waiting for her, hearing the door closed, or as you hear the sound of his Jeep rolling into the driveway, and you anticipate that, and it doesn't come about. Then in the morning you see a police car parked up front of your house.
At 8 o'clock in the morning?
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And from a previous employment that I had as a police officer, generally that's not a very good sign when they're parked in front of your place.
What I found most difficult, and I still find difficult, is people that I know and that I know knew Jeffrey, and that I know they understand everything, what happened to us in a historical sense, but it's something that we have to talk about, and either other people, a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and I perhaps don't blame them, because I can understand why. But it's hard when people don't acknowledge what's happened. It's hard when they don't ask you that simple question, how are you doing? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's an acknowledgement that you've been hit pretty hard, and it's pretty tough. And literally I felt on occasions difficult. I couldn't carry on conversations because the other person wasn't prepared to accept what we'd gone through.
I think comments that you hear, and you hear them like, you need to accept this, you need to get on with things, and we're thinking, we don't know that we want to get on with life, let alone accepting anything. You don't know, or we felt like we have no heart to live. And to say to accept it and to move on is very cruel, because you just don't know, why are we moving on? Somebody's pulled your heart out and they say move on, and you say, well, why? I have no motivation to move on. So somehow people, this being surrounded by understanding and maybe less comments rather than more, like less advice and more just hugs when you have no words left.
I didn't think I would be able to cope. I thought I am one of the, so I don't know what that means. Maybe that means I thought I was going crazy. I didn't think I was going to be able to live. I didn't know what I was going to do about it, but I thought I'm not one of the people that can handle this. that just felt too horrible. I couldn't imagine that anybody ever had to deal with anything like this. In the beginning, I mean, you can't even go into the supermarkets that you normally shopped at. I couldn't go to a supermarket alone. I had to have somebody with me.
You couldn't go to the same, a different
I
supermarket.
had to go to a different supermarket. Like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go to South Center. I felt like I had a neon sign on me saying this person is in pain. So it was impossible to do anything for quite a while. And now I would say we are doing a lot. Like, I think people look at us and think we're fine because we're doing not nearly as much as we used to, but we were always very active. But we are doing more, and definitely I'm finding enjoyment in things, which is surprising to me because I didn't think I'd be able to say that.
I have this analogy in my mind that this whole experience is like being on a jetliner at 30,000 feet and somebody kicks you out the door and you're free falling and you're just in turmoil in your life. And you're searching for somebody who is in that free fall. And when you find them, it's like, okay, what's happening to us and what are we going to do? And you don't really need instructions from the pilot. You need somebody there who's with you in that.
Running away does not help. You need a safe haven. You need a soft place to fall. You need that couch to sleep on, that person to talk to cry. We have the farm, the fresh air, the outdoors. That's what we needed. That's what we did.
The big adjustment that I had to go through is recognizing that my feelings that I was going through as a father were not necessarily the same feelings that MJ would have as a mother.
At times, I wondered if I was really grieving enough for Jody. But I had a clear answer at about a couple months after we lost Jody. I was by myself and I was taking a load of grain to the mill to have it rolled. And for the first time in a long time, there was no one else around, and I wasn't responsible for anybody else. And I was leveling this load of grain off, and it just overwhelmed me. I just fell to my knees, and I just felt the grief on me. And I knew then that my feelings were there, but in the beginning, and whenever there are family around or whenever Stebby's counting on me, I had kept my guard up for them because I wasn't free to just allow myself to collapse. And as odd as it sounds, I welcomed that moment because I wanted to know that in my soul and my heart that I had wept for my daughter the way I felt. And it was an emotional moment, and yet it seemed like it had to happen, and then it was real to me. And I felt like Debbie, I'm not going to short-circuit this grief. Like, I am wanting, in a way, to feel the depth of my loss because it is deep, and I don't want to see it as anything else, and I will go through this as long as I need to, because I love Jody.
We share it very closely, but we share it, we suffer it differently. And when I'm up, Chris can be down, and there is nothing I can do except come in and think, oh no, I'm up, she's not, so what do? You know, and vice versa, it happens. And it's not a schedule, you cannot plan it, and you can't fix it.
I can see how people split up over this.
Yes, it can.
Because you get into your own world of grieving, and you become so centered around your own little world that you don't let anybody in, and you don't let your spouse in.
That's right.
And we were at that point for a while. And then, something, I remember getting really mad at him because I was trying to get him with John. When he's mad, if you just get him to blow up, then he's fine. And I kept thinking, if I needle him, he'll blow up, and then maybe he'll see my point of view, or he'll look at it differently. But he was just in his own little world, and I could see him slowly doing himself in. I mean, from either his blood pressure was going up, he was not under control, and he was, we were both actually drinking a bit too much at that time, but that numbs you, so you're looking for things to not feel. And the gamut is you can get into such dysfunctionality if you don't have good communication and trust. You have to trust the other person. Not knowing why is the toughest part of suicide. I can't explain it. I don't know whether a letter makes it any different. We didn't get a letter. We didn't get any sign. We didn't get anything. And I remember another couple in our support group, they were fortunate enough to have a letter. And I believe, I don't know, and I'm not going to speak for them, but in my feeling, I would have a little more closing, I believe, knowing why. I've met another parent recently that had the same thing happen to her. It really can draw you into a form of mental illness, I think, when you really belabor that point, because you're never going to get an answer. And I think you have to be careful with that. I think you have to be very careful with that.
Tony's friends were all calling and saying, I didn't believe this happened. And you have to be real with them, because they're maybe going through the same thing that Tony brought him to his decision, and you've got to talk about it. So you just can't hide it. You have to be real with young people. I remember I got on the train system here, and I ran across one of Tony's old girlfriends. And she said, "Man, how's Tony doing?" So here I am sitting in a train car with approximately 85 people, and maybe 20 of them within earshot of the question that she just asked. And I'm thinking, how do I tell her about her ex-boyfriend, who I know she was very close with, and I know that he was in love with, that he died? And I'm thinking, well, I can't take her off the train because she's got young children with her now. And I had to tell her that. And I thought, so rotten. How do you leave somebody with that kind of a statement and just walk away from her when you get off at your station? And I'm still beating myself up with that happening. But these are things that happen.
Jody's birthday was July 19th, and I was dreading the day in a sense, and then I decided after council session to have the whole family there and have a birthday party with angel food cake. And we did that. I invited the whole family, and I decided that that day would be the best day of the year, the celebration of her life, the day she was born. Why not celebrate that? And we decided at a moment to go outside and join hands and make a big circle and raise our hands up, and we all 25 of us gathered round, raised our hands up and said, "We love you, Jody." And it was her birthday party, and it was healing. And the stars were out. And we sent our wishes to heaven. And the next morning, I felt love. I hadn't felt love. Up until then, I'd only felt so much pain. But I felt love. I said to David, that was the best thing we could have ever done. For Jody, for the family, everybody was brought to the next level of healing. And we continue.
Ritual, I think, is important, and for anybody going through this, you can't disconnect from what's happened. You need a time. You almost need a daily time when you connect again.
Whether if we travel somewhere, we take a travel candle. So we light a candle. Jeff's picture is there in our room, and a few other little things that remind us of him.
And the ritual is, I mean, I guess that's something too, that when you think back on it, that's always a comfortable place to go. And God knows you need to find a comfortable place to go. And when we do that with the candles, so you get a little spark. For some reason, you just relax a little more, and you feel better. And so we do it religiously. If I'm away on business, I do it myself in the hotel room. I take his picture with me. The same thing we do at home. I do it if I'm on the road. It doesn't matter. And I don't know how long I will continue to do that, but for now, it feels good when I do it. I don't look at it as hope. I don't think I'm here to be without struggle. But I actually thought that I was here to be without struggle, and I thought if I just candled and dipsy-doodled and was nice enough and did all the right things, I could be without struggle. I don't think that's right. I think part of life is the struggle, and the struggle is what brings you along, and the struggle is what teaches you. So I think I have a better understanding of what life's all about, and you know, how I'm going to apply that to the next, whatever, 20, 30 years. I think I feel better about that now.
It changes your life considerably.
Yeah.
How you look at things, how you listen to people. For me, MJ's right, I was very angry because I couldn't understand why. I lost my son, and I also lost a very good friend. But I was very angry for the longest time. Then I started changing and listening to young people a little bit more. Young people, my gosh, they're in their 20s or whatever it may be. And I would never ever have done that before. You know, they were just other human beings in the world. And where I am employed now, I work with almost 300 younger people, and I enjoy it, you know? They all bring different things to me in my life. And, you know, they all have different issues that you go along with, and you sit back and you listen to it, you know? And so it's changed me that way.
I can see why Jeffrey's not here and I'm still here, because I still haven't learned a lot of the things that I realize now he knew and understood. And he made it easy for us. He was kind of like the glue, you know, between the two of us, and he could cross Chris's world and mine with ease, and he just made everything so easy for us. He's gone because he didn't need to learn a lot of the things that I think I still need to learn, and I think he's helping me anyway along the way.
We took a lot of strength from attending Mass, being encouraged in that way, the thought of everlasting life. You can be mad at God, but it doesn't change things. So there's the hope of everlasting life and the hope that you'll see each other again. And that's where we've decided to put our thoughts.
It was very important to have that trust that there is another side, and we are ascending to that idea, that we're not just stopping here. And, you know, in my darkest hours, if I feel threatened, if I feel anxiety in the middle of the night, I go back and look at things Jody had passed on to us that said, you know, in the end, her life was a beautiful picture of God, a picture of love. And I say, you know, who am I to question this?